While they're, really using that as a narrative, I don't think that's really accurate. And I think that it's masking structural software public cloud demand. And I think ultimately that's what Microsoft, Amazon, and Google are seeing aspects of that right now. So in other words, if AI wasn't exploding right now, I think we would see it much easier. But I do think that the public cloud computing market is seeing softer growth. And we're going to see growth, but we're not going to see the growth I think that everybody expected. Instead, we're going to see the cloud area grow and the cloud market growing, but it's going to be other areas, the alt cloud stuff, sovereign clouds, people like CoreWeave, specialized cloud providers, GPU as a service providers, all that kind of stuff is kind of coming back because they're able to provide cloud services at a cost point that the public cloud providers, can't match. And if you're purpose built for something like AI, which GPU providers are, you're going to be very good at it and very efficient, much more efficient than many of the public cloud providers that typically are not going to be as purpose built for AI. So enterprises now have more viable alternatives, private clouds, sovereign clouds, hybrid colo providers, MSPs, that meet the requirements and they're lower in cost. So why not use them? And, I always tell my clients that you should look at the breadth of the market, not just at the hyperscalers. And I understand the hyperscalers were easy decisions just a few years ago, but ultimately private clouds, public clouds, sovereign clouds are going to be better options for you. And certainly in terms of cost. If you think about it, the cloud computing stuff, we're about 15 years into it, really good run. And I think we're going to see some normalization in the market, and we're see many of the hyperscalers, not necessarily fall away, but certainly fall out of favor for many enterprises in lieu of some other cheaper options. So for predictable, steady workloads, public cloud can be the most expensive option. So things we talk about on this channel a bunch of times, I'm not going to reiterate it here. The public cloud providers have a tendency to be too expensive, and the enterprises are figuring that out. And as they're looking at their AI workloads and figuring out where to host those, the public clouds often are not getting to be the automatic choice anymore. They're going to be a contender. They're going to look at them, but when they see the cost, that's when they decide to move it over to other infrastructure, including infrastructure that they may want to own. But if you do that, you're going to find, since I price these things all the time, the cost of doing that, owning your own infrastructure versus leveraging a public cloud provider, is typically going to be 3 times less expensive. It's much cheaper to own your own equipment or to use another alt cloud provider, sovereign cloud, specialized cloud providers, neo clouds, all those sorts of options that are out there now.